To everyone who never wants to leave America again, hello. My name is Alexandra Volkova. I'm currently 28 years old, an international women's volleyball player in the Professional American League. I come from the city of St. Petersburg, Russia, and I've been playing volleyball for 18 years. Today, I want to tell you why I came to play in the United States, and about the event that changed the course of my destiny forever. This story took place in the fall of 2021 during a special women's volleyball invitational tournament held in New York City. At the time, I was a middle blocker for the Russian national team and a core player. At 6'2", I had a solid record in the European leagues and was confident I would perform well in this tournament. But then, an incident just before the competition began changed everything. Katya Petrova, our star ace player, tore a ligament in her right knee during a practice session. She was the heart of our offense and the soul of our team. Competing without her was like fighting with one arm tied behind our back. Even so, the rest of us decided to fight with everything we had and made the journey to the United States. The tournament was held at a major arena in Manhattan, with 5 nations participating: the host USA, Brazil, Italy, Kenya, and our Russian team. Every team was world-class. To be honest, even at full strength, it would have been a grueling competition, but reality was far harsher than we had imagined. In our first match, we lost to Brazil 1-3. Next, we were crushed by Team USA in a 0-3 sweep, followed by another 1-3 loss to Italy. By then, it was almost certain we would finish last in our group. The faces of my teammates grew darker each day. The locker room was silent. And then came the fateful match against Team USA, the host nation. The Manhattan arena was packed to the rafters, a sea of red, white, and blue. The cheers for the Russian team were practically non-existent. The game belonged to the Americans from start to finish. We fought as hard as we could, but a team missing its key player has its limits. We lost the first set 21-25, the second 19-25, and the third 22-25. It was a decisive 0-3 defeat. In that match, I managed only 3 points from spikes and failed to block a single one of their attacks. After the match, back in the locker room, no one said a word. Our last place finish was now confirmed. With trembling hands, I picked up my smartphone and video called my parents back home. "Mom, Dad," I choked out. "I can't do this anymore. Maybe I just don't have what it takes for volleyball." I wept uncontrollably in front of my parents through the screen. In all my 18 years of playing, I had never felt so powerless. That night, I lay alone in my hotel room, staring at the ceiling, thinking, why did we have to come all the way to America just to be humiliated like this? Outside the window, the city lights of New York glittered, but their beauty couldn't reach my heart. We had one final match against Kenya tomorrow, but it had no bearing on the standings. It was just a formality to complete the schedule. I buried my face in my pillow and whispered to myself, I'm done. I'm quitting volleyball. At that moment, I could never have imagined that the very next day, an encounter that would change my life forever was waiting for me. The next morning, I woke with a heart as heavy as lead. I had barely slept, tossing and turning all night. A glance at the clock showed it was 7 a.m. Today was the final match against Kenya, but before that, I needed some time to sort through my feelings. I felt that if I stayed in the hotel room, last night's despair would swallow me whole. So, I decided to go for a walk in Riverside Commons, a public park near my hotel. I just wanted to breathe in the crisp morning air to change my state of mind. Riverside Commons was a small park in a residential neighborhood, filled with lush trees. The early morning sunlight filtering through the leaves was beautiful. Perhaps because it was a weekday morning, there were only a few people jogging or walking. I sat down on a bench and stared blankly at the sky, wondering what to do next. Suddenly, I heard a small voice from behind me. "Excuse me, are you one of the players from the Russian volleyball team?" When I turned, I saw a young, elementary school-aged girl standing with her mother. The girl spoke to me in polite English. Her mother, who looked to be a kind woman in her early 30s, held her daughter's hand gently. The little girl's name was Lily, and she was 9 years old. In her hands, she clutched something precious. As I looked closer, I saw it was a homemade Russian flag, crafted from pieces of white, blue, and red cloth meticulously sewn together. It was clear she had spent a lot of time on it. The other thing she held was a piece of white paper with a message written in large letters, "Thank you," and below that, in letters I couldn't read, was another word. I would later learn it was spasibo, which means thank you in Russian. How did a 9-year-old girl find out how to write in Russian? The letters were a bit shaky, but I could feel the effort she had put into them. Her mother explained gently, "I'm so sorry to bother you. My daughter watched your match on TV yesterday, and she insisted she had to come and thank you, Alexandra. I apologize for disturbing you so early in the morning." I was stunned. In yesterday's match, we were utterly defeated. It was a game where the American players were brilliant. Why would this little girl want to thank us, the losers? Lily, though shy, spoke with all her heart. "You were so cool yesterday. I saw you fighting until the very end, and I thought it was amazing. Even though you lost, it was a beautiful game. I want to be like you someday, Alexandra." The moment I heard her words, I was speechless. Even though you lost, it was beautiful. You never gave up. I want to be like you someday. In my entire volleyball career, no one had ever said those words to me as a loser. In Russia, sports are about results. Winners are praised and losers are forgotten. I grew up in that world. That's why last night's defeat was so painful. But this 9-year-old American girl was different. She looked past the win or loss and saw value in our performance. She said our desperate struggle was beautiful. Her mother added, "My daughter has been playing volleyball since she was 6. After watching the game yesterday, she said, "The Russian players tried so hard. They must be so sad. I want to go and thank them." So she looked up how to write in Russian on the internet and carefully wrote it out. Tears began to well up in my eyes. But these weren't the tears of sorrow from the night before. They were warm tears, born from touching someone else's kindness. Lily handed me the homemade flag and the thank you note. The moment I accepted the items made with such care by her small hands, something inside me shifted. This little angel had taught me that the true value of sports isn't just about winning or losing. The act of fighting with all one's might has the power to move people's hearts. I knelt to be at eye level with Lily, took her hand, and said in my best English, "Thank you." Lily's face lit up instantly. After my encounter with Lily and her mother in the park, we sat and talked on the bench for a while. Lily, though still a bit shy, eagerly recounted her thoughts on yesterday's match. Every one of her innocent words began to heal my wounded heart. Suddenly, Lily's mother said, "If you wouldn't mind, we would be honored if you would join us for dinner at our home tonight. My daughter said she really wants to talk with you more, Alexandra." I was taken aback. Inviting a foreigner you've just met to your home is not something that happens every day, but her mother's expression was filled with sincerity, so I gratefully accepted her invitation. After our afternoon match, I went to the address the Davis family had given me. The final match against Kenya ended in a 2-3 loss, but it no longer mattered. Meeting Lily that morning had made my heart feel so much lighter. The Davises' home was a 2-story house in a quiet suburban neighborhood. As I approached, I could hear happy chatter from inside. I rang the doorbell, and Lily rushed to open it, greeting me with a radiant smile. "Alexandra's here." At the door, it wasn't just Lily and her mother from that morning, but also her father and grandmother, whom I was meeting for the first time. Her father was a kind-looking man in his early 40s who seemed to have just changed out of a suit, and her grandmother was an elegant woman in her 70s, dressed in a lovely blouse. "Welcome. Our daughter has been waiting for you all day," the father said, shaking my hand warmly. The grandmother smiled and said, "You must be tired after traveling so far. We've prepared a simple meal tonight, but it's made with love." The atmosphere in the house was that of a warm, welcoming American family. On the dining table was a spread of homemade American dishes, roast chicken, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, and many other delicious-looking foods. Before we began to eat, Lily excitedly showed me something else, a scrapbook she had made herself. On the cover, in neat handwriting, it said, "A record of all of Alexandra's matches." "It took me a whole week to make," Lily said, proudly opening the scrapbook for me. Inside were photos of me from the tournament clipped from newspapers, printed from the internet, and even pictures from yesterday's match, all neatly arranged. What was more amazing was her detailed analysis. "Your spike success rate is 40%, Alexandra," she said. "The number might not seem high, but the way you always encouraged your teammates was incredible. Especially near the end of the third set, when you were behind, you still dove for the ball with everything you had. It was so inspiring to watch." I couldn't believe a 9-year-old girl could analyze the game in such detail. And she wasn't just looking at the numbers, she valued the quality of play and the mental fortitude behind it. During dinner, the whole family chatted with me about various things, but what moved me the most was what the grandmother told me. In America, We have a culture of what you might call heart. It's about cheering for the person who gives it their all. It's not just the winner who is great. We place great importance on the one who tries their hardest, the one who never gives up. That's the heart of the American spirit. Her father added, "The reason my daughter was so impressed with your playing, Alexandra, is probably because she has absorbed that spirit. We can see the beauty in a person's character, more than just the outcome of a game. That might be a core value for us as Americans." I was deeply moved. My entire life, I had only known a culture that glorified winners. A losing athlete was worthless. Effort was meaningless without results. I had been taught to believe that. But this American family was completely different. They didn't look at the result, but at the process. They didn't see victory or defeat, but the fighting spirit. And they told me this wasn't anything special, but a normal part of American culture. Finally, Lily said to me, "Alexandra, you have to win next time. But even if you lose, I'll always be cheering for you, because people who try their best are the coolest of all." That night, as the entire family saw me off, the feelings in my heart had completely changed. The thought of quitting volleyball had vanished entirely. The final match was against Kenya. My rank no longer mattered. What was important was to fight with all my might for the people I had met in this country. On game day, I woke up earlier than usual, my heart light and filled with a positive energy I hadn't felt this entire tournament. Even my teammates seemed to notice the change. "You seem brighter today, Alexandra," our captain remarked. "Yes," I replied. "I met some wonderful people here in America. Today, I want to play my best for them." At 2 p.m., we headed to the arena. When we arrived, I glanced up at the stands out of habit, and in that instant, I saw a sight I couldn't believe. In one corner of the stands, I saw Lily and her family, and what they were holding was a homemade banner with a message in Russian. Looking closely, I saw the words, "For period, Alexandra, go, Alexandra," written in large letters. Even more astonishing, gathered around Lily's family were other Americans, the man from the local fruit stand, the woman from the stationery shop, high school students, even the town's mayor. Everyone was holding small, homemade Russian flags and getting ready to cheer for us. When the match began, the unexpected happened. In previous matches, we could barely hear any cheers for Russia. But today was different. From the section where Lily was sitting, a clear chant for Russia rose up. "Let's go, Russia! Let's go!" What was even more moving were the children's voices shouting, "Spasiba," in Russian. Their pronunciation wasn't perfect, but it was a cheer that came from the heart. We lost the first set 19-25, but the cheers never stopped. We lost the second 22-25, but every time we made a desperate play, warm applause came from the crowd. And in the third set, we fought tooth and nail, leading 20-18. At that moment, a golden opportunity came. The setter sent the ball to me perfectly. I leaped as high as I could and, with all my strength, spiked the ball. It flew past the opponent's block and slammed onto the court, 21-18. In that instant, the entire arena erupted, especially from Lily's section, which roared as if it were a home court in Russia. I pumped my fist and, without thinking, bowed to the crowd. Though we won the third set 25-21, we narrowly lost the fourth and fifth sets. The final score was a 3-2 victory for Kenya. We had finished in last place. But the moment the final whistle blew, something incredible happened. The entire stadium rose to its feet and gave us a standing ovation. They applauded the winners, Kenya, and they applauded us, the losers, with equal fervor. Tears streamed down my face. In my entire life, no one had ever applauded a loser with such thunderous support. In the post-game interview, I couldn't hold back my emotions. "This is the first time in my life I've ever received cheers like this," I said through tears. "I want to thank all the American people from the bottom of my heart for giving such warm applause to us, the losing team. I have learned the true beauty of sport in this country." After the interview, Lily and everyone were waiting for me by the exit. "Alexandra, that was awesome. Your last spike was so cool." Seeing Lily's innocent smile, my tears started flowing again. And then, 2 years later, in the fall of 2023, I finally signed a contract with the New York Angels, a top team in America's professional women's volleyball league. My 2 years of hard work had paid off. The first thing I did upon arriving in the United States was to contact Lily and her family. When I called from JFK Airport, I heard Lily's bright voice on the other end. "Alexandra, you really came back." Lily was now 12 years old, and a key player for her local junior volleyball club. The place we chose for our reunion was that same nostalgic park, Riverside Commons. We sat on the same bench as 2 years ago, but this time, the feeling was completely different. "I'm back to keep my promise," I said. Lily replied with a bright smile. "I kept my promise too. I've been practicing hard every day so I can be like you someday, Alexandra." Seeing how much she had grown filled my heart with warmth. The small 9-year-old girl from that day had become an elegant volleyball player. When I started with the New York Angels, I used my height and skills to become a key player for the team. The high level of American volleyball and the warm welcome from my teammates allowed me to experience the greatness of this country once again. The cheers from the fans during matches were especially impressive. Even when we were behind, the American fans would continue to cheer until the very end. The culture of applauding both the winner and the loser brought back the powerful memories from 2 years prior. Lily's house truly became my second home. I celebrate Thanksgiving with them every year, learning so much about American culture and traditions. We cook together, go to community events together. They treat me like a real member of their family. I am now in my 3rd year playing volleyball in the United States. What I have learned from this country is not just volleyball skills, but also lessons about humanity, the meaning of effort, and most importantly, the significance of human connection. Lily is now in middle school and is the star player of her volleyball club. The other day, I went to watch her match and saw her beautiful, relentless play, never giving up until the end, just like me on that day. "Your playing is beautiful, Lily," I told her after the game. She beamed back at me. "Well, you're the one who taught me, Alexandra, that what's important isn't winning or losing, but how hard you fight." I truly believe that the tournament where I finished in last place in the fall of 2021 was the most valuable experience of my life. If I hadn't met Lily that day, I wouldn't be who I am today. Finally, I want to say this to everyone watching this video. The American people cheer for everyone who tries, not just the winners. No matter how small the effort or how minor the challenge, they see it and value it. And that completely changed my life. I now love the United States with all my heart. This is my second home, and I will never forget my gratitude for Lily, her family, the people from her community, and everyone who cheered for me that day. The true value of sports is not in winning or losing, but in striving with all your might, never giving up, and leaving something behind in the hearts of those who watch. Thank you to all the people of America. Because of all of you, I can still play the sport I love every single day, and from now on, I will continue to play with everything I have for all of you. Thank you.